The world is opening up back up again, and people are traveling like they've been waiting for 2 years to be able to do this. Jeanenne Tornatore, travel expert here, the Outside Insider, giving us a couple of tips as far as if you're planning a trip this summer or looking into the fall, but what your vacation is really going to look like this year. First of all, I want to ask you as far as like flights, how early do we need to be booking those?
Now. Yeah, I mean, as early as possible, especially if you're going to travel for summer, but even looking ahead to fall. I mean, look, demand will start to drop, or it typically does a little bit towards late summer as the kids head back to school. But even if you want to wait and travel during that time, you should really be booking your flights now. We've seen since April that airfares have gone up to domestic destinations by 9%, international destinations by 17%. And it's just continuing to go up. So earlier is better when it comes to booking your airfares right now.
A lot of people couldn't gather last year for the holidays. Should we be looking into Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's right now as well too?
Look, I still think it's a little early to book those, but I don't think it's too early to start looking at where you want to go and just seeing what prices are out there, getting a feel for it. I think what we typically see is people usually start booking those holiday trips later summer once August rolls around. Sometimes when you book too early, airfares can be higher and then dip down. So I tend to start looking now and then booking a little bit closer to August, getting into September, but I wouldn't wait past that.
Now let's talk about, destinations. I think people think vacation, I want to go to Broadway, I want to go to Disney, I want to go, come to Chicago. Yeah. But are these the hottest places? I mean, is everybody going to these places, or there's some like off-peak, maybe spots that, normally people may not take for that one, yearly vacation that we should be looking at?
Yeah, well, when we look at like travel supplier data, the most popular destinations are beach destinations primarily. So everyone is they're heading to Florida, Mexico, the Caribbean, places like Myrtle Beach on the East Coast, and even those mountain towns, those are busy as well. Colorado, Jackson Hole, those are where everyone's going. So that's where prices are going to be the highest. That's where you're going to have the most crowds, obviously. I like to tell folks, if you're looking to save, this is a summer to really think like a travel contrarian. So go where people aren't going. There's still some great places. Scottsdale, Arizona is a really great pick. The desert, this is their complete off season. We know it's a little bit hot in the desert right now, but they offer incentives that make it worth it. I mean, in Scottsdale right now, they have the promotion. I love the name. It's called It's That Hot. So it's thathot.com. It's 60% off of a lot of these amazing 5-star resort properties there. So you can go, you can lounge by the pool, you get up early in the morning if you want to do some guided tours and hikes and things like that. But I mean, there's a lot to do in these destinations at a fraction of the price of the high season destinations right now.
There are still a lot of restrictions in place. So some places may be operating at 25%, some at 60%, some at 100%. Should we be looking at those activities we're hoping to do? So even though you may want to go to the beach and say, once we get there, we'll plan activity A, B, and C, should you book those early as well too, so you're not left out?
Absolutely. That's another one of my biggest tips for this summer. And I've kind of been saying this throughout the pandemic. So we saw that, there were major capacity limits and everyone was requiring reservations. Well, guess what? They still are. So this summer, you do not want to be spontaneous. You don't want to spend all this money on a flight, a hotel, get to somewhere like Orlando and then be like, oh, I can't book tickets to Disney or Universal. Oh my gosh, this attraction's like booked up. Even restaurants are booking up so quickly right now because everyone's been dying to go out to eat. So simple as getting a restaurant reservation, a campsite reservation, definitely theme park tickets and all these attractions, because yes, they are still having capacity limits. Do that. And make sure that you can do those things even before you book your airfare and hotel. You don't want to even book your airfare and hotel and then realize you can't book those things. So reservations are a must, and it has to be an integral part of your planning process.
I mean, that just brought up one thing. I rarely check into restaurants or, make a reservation early enough. But that's one of those things that we got to, make sure to do. Go on Open Table, call the restaurant itself, double check. Even if you need to change it by 15 or 30 minutes, at least you've got your space already in there. Let's talk a little bit about international travel. When can we book things? When are you hearing things opening up? What are prices looking like overseas?
Yeah, well, I mean, the fact is you can go on it and you can book things on airlines. Now, the thing is just because you can book things doesn't mean you're really going to be able to do everything you want once you get there again. So don't let the fact that just because, you know, you can book an airline ticket to another country make you think that, you know, it's completely open. You still definitely have to do some research, but, you know, international travel, like places like, you know, Mexico, the Caribbean, those are really, Latin America, those are the most popular right now for Americans because it's closer to home. There's been a lot of information out about, you know, what the restrictions are and the protocols are. People are starting to book their trips to Europe again. But again, I think the key here is doing a lot of research on the local level. All of these different countries have different things going on. And I would recommend, if you're going to take that big international trip, this might be the year where you want to go with a travel advisor, get a travel agent. I mean, their job is talking to all of these local, you know, municipalities and the hotels and the resorts, and they could really help you out there. So, you know, even if you're somebody like me that always books everything on my own, if I'm doing the big international trip, this might be the time to get somebody that is really going to advise you on all those details
and make the most out of your trip. Any last minute deals? Are we looking at that for the summer, or is that maybe something we need to hold off on until summer 2022?
Yeah, I don't think you're really going to find many last minute deals. I think it's these off season destinations where you're going to find the deals on the hotel side in particular. You know, what I will tell you is if you're going to fly, look to travel midweek. Look, business travel isn't really back yet. That's usually what drives up the prices for the travel Monday through Friday or business travelers. We don't really have that right now. So instead of flying out on a Friday or Saturday, do that Tuesday, Wednesday flight. That's where we're seeing some of the better flight prices. Car rentals, we've heard the news about car rentals having to sell off a lot of their fleets and there being no supply and people paying $500 a day for a car. Shop around is my best advice for you on that. If you're a member, like one of those membership clubs like Costco, check that out. I mean, it sounds a little like off, but they really do have great travel prices on some of those sites. So if you're already paying for a membership, check that out. You know, those kinds of sites can actually really help you out. But I think you're really going to have to kind of be a little strategic and how can I save a little on the airfare, a little on the car rental. And big piece of advice, if you're somebody like most of us had to cancel a trip in the last year and we have credits sitting in there in our airline accounts, maybe some people even for hotels. Look, a lot of these travel suppliers bank on the fact that people are going to forget about them until they expire. So even if it doesn't expire until next summer and you're like, oh, I'll just hold off on that, just use it. Use it now before you forget about it, and save on your vacation this summer.
Oh, exactly. Now, I do want to ask you, you know, since, you know, you're from the Chicagoland area, you're just in Scottsdale right now, doing these interviews. Getting to the airport, how early should people be getting there? Any extra tips as far as someone who may be traveling for the first time in a year and a half?
Yeah, look, I've been to O'Hare twice in the last month, early May, and then just this week, and it's busy. I went there and I was like, it looks like the pandemic never happened at O'Hare. So get there, you know, early. I always say 2 hours for a domestic flight. It's just better to be there early and have to sit around and have a cup of coffee than show up and it be the one day where even the TSA pre-check line is, you know, down the terminal. But it's certainly, you know, walking around O'Hare looks back to normal levels. So make sure you're planning for that and planning for the traffic getting to the airport as well.
Well, I mean, it's wonderful that the industry is bouncing back and that people are traveling again. In the case that something strange happens or you're not able to make the trip or, you know, God forbid, you know, somebody gets sick, what's travel insurance looking like these days?
Yeah, well, a couple of things on that. Number one, most of the major airlines in the last year actually eliminated their change fees, and they didn't, you know, with no anticipated date of them coming back. We'll see how long that actually lasts. But if you have a flight booked, make sure that, you know, if you can't go or you need to change it, you should not be paying any change fees right now. So make sure that you're checking there first. But with travel insurance, look, a lot of people are still feeling more comfortable getting travel insurance, and it can be a really great idea, especially on those bigger ticket trips. If you are going to take that international destination or international escape. But the thing to know about travel insurance is there's a lot of fine print. There's a lot of different levels of travel insurance. So just because you pick a travel insurance package doesn't mean you're going to be covered for any and every reason. There are, full coverage, cancel for any reason policies. You pay a premium for those. They're out there, but make sure if you want to be able to cancel for any reason that that's the one that you're paying for.
Jeanenne, always so much great information. I know I threw like 15 topics at you, but I think anyone planning a trip for the very first time, in 15 months, I think these last 15 minutes is going to get them everything that they need to know. The Outside Insider, you can check her out on the web and then on social media as well too. Jeanenne, you're the best, and let's chat again soon.
We'll love it. Thanks, Rudy.
Thank you.